Hello, my name is Jacob, and you're watching my show about literature. And only literature. Kim is set some years after the Sepoy Rebellion of 1857, or as it should more properly be called, the First Indian War for Independence, which brought about the period of the British Raj in 1858. Prior to this, India was a semi-independent state controlled by various factions and territorial rulers, but as a result of the uprising, all governmental authority was transferred to the British Empire. This is not to say, of course, that the British had any prior confidence in the native populace to rule themselves. As Heitzman and Warden state, many argued that it was Europe's mission to civilize India and hold it as a trust until Indians proved themselves competent for self-rule. In essence, the revolt merely gave the colonizers an excuse to further subjugate the so-called savages. Unsurprisingly, it was exactly this sort of ignorance, combined with the accumulation of mounting Indian resentment towards British economic and social policies, that caused the Sepoy units to rise up in the first place. Their Eurocentric practices, such as the annexation of Oudh, which was a wealthy princely state that generated huge revenue and represented a vestige of Mughal authority, and the use of cartridges for the Lee Enfield rifle that were allegedly greased with animal fat, which was offensive to the religious beliefs of Muslim and Hindu Sepoy, only served to further justify violent resistance against the oppressors. A mutiny became inevitable under such intolerable circumstances. The aftermath of the Sepoy Rebellion was not only the direct cause of the installation of the British Raj, but also a series of reforms in the military and national intelligence. Heitzman and Warden relate to us that the British were so shocked by the extent of solidarity among Indian soldiers during the rebellion, the government separated the army into 3 presidencies. These divisions, or company armies, became known as the Bengals, the Bombays, and the Madras, with each name relating to their base of operations. Furthermore, these units were subdivided by caste, religion, locality, and every other imaginable facet that could possibly generate unrest within the ranks. The British were determined to foil a second revolt by any means necessary, even if it meant placating the alien traditions and social structure of the native soldiers. There's a very curious encounter in Chapter 2 between a Sikh craftsman and a Dogra soldier that illustrates the need for this separation. The Sikh mentions that my sister's brother's son is Naik, which means corporal, in that regiment. There are also some Dogra companies there. The soldier glares at this, for, as Kipling informs us, a Dogra is of the other caste than a Sikh. This slight remark is more than enough to stir the temper of the Dogra soldier, and causes him to relate a story where 2 of his companies came to help the Ludhiana Sikhs at Perez Kotal in the face of 8 Afridi standards on a ridge not 3 months gone. Clearly, such volatile sensibilities between castes were something to avoid rousing, and most certainly something to be closely monitored. The latter role was one of the responsibilities of Colonel Creighton and his great game. It is critical to remember that his job was to protect British interests and secure the dominion of the British Empire over India. As we have seen, internal conflict can be just as devastating as foreign invasion, and given that the native populace were motivated enough to fight for its independence, there was a distinct need for internal espionage. The colonel knew full well of the distrust for the British, and accordingly recruits native agents in order to circumvent plots of subterfuge and rebellion. To his credit, this is a brilliant maneuver that allows him to have eyes and ears all over the country that blend in most perfectly. Huri and Kim performed their duties in splendid fashion when they recovered damaging correspondence between the Raj and the Tsar of Russia. As Huri relates to us, Mr. Raja Sahib has just about put his foot in holes. He will have to explain officially how the deuce and all he was writing love letters to the Tsar. And there's 3 or 4 prime ministers of these parts implicated by the correspondence. By God, sir, the British government will charge the succession in Hillas and Bunar and nominate new heirs to the throne. Treason most base. With such constant threats to the reigning government, it's easy to see how Colonel Creighton has his hands full. He must be vigilant at all times in order to win the great game, which goes on night and day, and will not be finished until, as Hari so eloquently puts it, everyone is dead. Curiously, however, if victory in the great game means controlled occupation of India, then what is to be said of the loser? After all, isn't the native populace acting out of nationalistic interest and attempting to regain their independence? This fact is important to note, especially in the field of post-colonial criticism, which I will discuss in my next video. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Peace!